Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to talk about balanced and unbalanced forces. But before that, let us define the term force which you have already studied in your earlier classes. In simple words, we can say that force is a push or a pull on an object. Force can change the speed of a moving object. Force can change the direction of motion, shape and size of objects, etc. Now, consider this box, and if we apply or if we push this box from here, it moves to the right, no? Okay, now if we apply some force on it in this direction, what happens? It moves to the left. Right. But now, if we apply two equal forces, but in the opposite directions on this box, what happens? See, one force is applied to the right, another one force is applied to the left. That is, two forces are opposite in direction, and let the magnitude of these two forces be the same. That is, if we apply 10 Newton force, okay, Newton is the unit of force. If we apply 10 Newton force to the right and 10 Newton force to the left, okay, we apply 10 Newton force to the right and 10 Newton force to the left, then the box will not move. That is, though two forces are acting on the box is not moving. Such forces are called as balanced forces. Balanced forces do not change the state of rest or state of motion of an object. That is, balanced forces are the forces acting on an object and do not make any change in the state of the object. That is, any time if there is a balanced force on an object, the object would stay at rest if it was at rest, or the object would continue moving at the same speed in the same direction if it was initially in a state of motion. Now, consider the situation in which two forces are acting on this box in the opposite directions. But the forces are of different magnitudes. That is, here you can see that a 10 Newton force acts to the right and a 7 Newton force acts to the left. Okay, so here two forces are acting on this box. One is to the right, another one is to the left. Okay, this force is 10 Newton, this force is of magnitude 7 Newton. So these two forces are acting in opposite directions. Okay, but you see this magnitude of you see the magnitude of these two forces. This one is of 10 Newton and this one is of 7 Newton. So in which direction the block would or this box would move? The box would move to the right, no? Okay, that is, the box would move in the direction of the greater force. Okay, 10 Newton is greater than 7 Newton. So the box would move to the right. Okay, so the net force acting on this box will be to the right and the box would move to the right. That is, here the two forces are not balanced, or we can say that there is an unbalanced force acts on this object or on this box in the direction the block moves. The unbalanced force acting on an object brings the object in motion. So, the forces that cause a change in the motion of an object are unbalanced forces. Now, consider a box kept on a rough floor. Suppose a child is trying to push this box. If he pushes the box with a small force, okay, this represents the force applied by this child on the box. Okay, so if he pushes the box with a small force, the box does not move, because there will be a frictional force which arises between the two surfaces in contact. So this actually represents the force applied by the child, and this actually represents the force which is a frictional force acts between the bottom surface of the box and the surface of the floor. Okay, the length of the straight line, no, it is actually proportional to the magnitude of the force. Okay, so between the bottom of the box and the floor, floor's rough surface, there will be a frictional force which balances the pushing force, and therefore the box does not move. Okay, this actually represents a frictional force, and this is the pushing force. Okay, the frictional force actually balances the pushing force, and therefore the box does not move. Okay, next consider the child pushes the box more hard and he applies more force now. So you see the length of the straight line is, it has more length than this one. Okay, that means the pushing force is more here in this case. So the child pushes the box more hard, that is he applies more force now, but the box still does not move because the friction force still balances the pushing force. Okay, now again the child pushes this box harder, that is this time he applies more force than these two cases or these two applied forces, so that the pushing force becomes bigger than the friction force. Okay, this represents a friction force and this represents a pushing force. So in this case, when he applies more force on this box, that is when he pushes this box even more harder, so that the pushing force becomes bigger than the friction force, what happens? There will be a net force, an unbalanced force which acts in the direction of greater force. So the unbalanced force acts in this direction and the box, okay, there will be a net force. You see, if this is of 10 Newton, just imagine this is of 4 Newton. Okay, so there will be a net force which acts in the, there will be a net force, there will be an unbalanced force which acts in the direction of greater force. So you see here what will be the net force? 10 minus 4. 10 minus 4 is what? 6 Newton. So there will be a net force of 6 Newton. There will be an unbalanced force of 6 Newton which acts in this direction of greater force. So the unbalanced force acts in this direction and the box starts moving in this direction. That is to the right. Okay. So in this video, we have discussed about balanced forces as well as unbalanced forces. Balanced forces do not change the state of rest or state of motion, that is state of an object. The unbalanced force acting on an object brings the object in motion. That is, unbalanced force causes a change in the motion of an object or change in the state of an object. I hope you understood these two concepts. Thank you.